It's your boy Johnnie Mac. Y'all are now tuned into Philly Fame TV. Oh my God, it's about to get crazy. Show, you know how I'm coming. Philly Fame. Philly Fame.
Johnnie Mac, man. You say you professional now. You're not gonna do Johnny with the Mac no more. You Johnnie Mac now, man. Alright.
You already know it's your boy Johnnie Mac. I'm a journalist now, man. I ain't no shit. I'm a journalist now, man. The Philly First 48, man. We about to start I just inked my first deal, man. Yo, I'm so excited about that. Now we doing a podcast, man. I'm not really gonna let y'all know who my first fucking guest gonna be, but y'all, man, I'm so excited right now, man. We doing a podcast, we doing a versus battle. The versus battles, we doing our first award show. It's a lot that we doing, and me and Show, we collabing and shit like that, man. Oh man, I've been working, Show. I've been working, man.
All right, let's get into it, Johnny. All right, we was talking a lot. A lot off camera, because I was out of the loop when it came to a lot of stuff in regards to you and all of that. And you was basically giving me the rundown, briefing me on some of the stuff that's been going on. And we're going to talk about it here on camera or whatever and give it to the people, so they can, get your whole story in depth. So let's start off with, you
right.
popped up back on the gram. You was like, I'm home, bitch, I'm ready to go back to it. So, you was going for a couple weeks, So, explain to the people, what was going on while you was away and you coming back and all that.
Let me say this, Show. I was doing this shit straight for a whole year and a half, taking no breaks off and shit like that. You know what I mean? I wasn't spending time with my family. I was going through depression. I was going through a lot of shit. And as everybody know, I was, fighting a battle of addiction. I was addicted to Percocets and shit, lean, all that shit. The city got hit hard with it, and I was one of them that got affected about it. So, a situation happened and shit like that. Y'all know shit be happening. Situation happened. I got picked up from the cops. I didn't know I had 5 different warrants out the county and shit like that. So, when I got locked up, I went to go see the judge. And I was explaining to the judge all that I've been doing, positivity. And, it was a blessing that she sent me to a detox center. So I went to detox for a few days and shit like that. And I went to a rehab. And that's the best thing I did, man. Because it really helped me so much, bro. It helped me so much because I was going through so much shit. And I was still at like everything was okay. You know what I mean? Cause every time I go through some shit, I'll pop a pill. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know how bad I was on them Jones until I started going through some type of withdrawal system and shit like that. Withdrawal. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know if you ever experienced it, whatever the case may be. When I felt that pain, that's when I knew I was addicted to opioids. And how that started was, I got a hernia disc. I got nervous damage with my leg. I got a lot of back problems. So I was sent to the doctors, whatever the case may be. And the doctor I went to, he started me off with 10s and shit like that. And over the year, my tolerance was going up and shit like that. And I went all the way up to the 30s and shit like that. I had an interview with Boom, and I was laughing with Boom because I remember I saw him we was going to the same doctors and shit. I know y'all know Boom, Papa Perc Boom and shit like that. And just to get it back to, my doctor had put me on 30s, and I was selling in 30s. I wasn't taking them. You know what I mean? One thing about me, I never got high and shit. H and everybody else, they was doing the high shit. I ain't never smoked weed or nothing. You couldn't get in my car with the high shit. I was always the sober guy and shit like that. So when this shit hit, because how it hit me, they had made a rule. My doctor started taking pee tests. So
yeah, so you had to take them in order to keep getting them. Right.
I had to take them. It had to be in my. So the first joint I had don't, and the feeling I got from it, bro, it just like, you know, day to day. You know what I mean? I had got addicted. Times went up. And you know, unfortunately, I was addicted to Percocets for some time and shit. And I was in denial about this shit. And I didn't want to talk about this shit. I thought I had it in control, man. And while I was away, bro, I had analyzed. I looked at all my old interviews and shit like that because it was a lot of people in the rehab. They all knew me. The charge nurse, the whole kitchen, and we was turning on all my interviews and we was looking back at them and shit. But I really was mad at myself and shit like that, like how I was and shit like that, man. I had big interviews and shit. Like, I can talk about the only interview, man. And that was a big ass interview. And I was upset because I was on at the time. And, you know, I was crashing. I didn't know what I had at the time with the Philly First 48 and shit like that. So I was so delighted and so happy that I went to rehab and I got the detox done. And now I'm 15 days clean, man. I just really thank God for that, man. So, you know, when I came back, show, because everybody ain't know where I went. They like, Johnny got booked. So when I got back and my first live, first when I checked my DMs was lit. You know, with nothing but encouragement. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Cause you know, and then I hit you like, damn, bro, where you was at? Know what I mean? I was about to like, damn, wondering where you was at and shit. Like,
yeah, man.
Like, so nobody really knew or whatever. You really publicized it and all that. Yeah.
But let me tell you this, bro. I'm an open book, bro. I don't hide nothing. And you know, my first time going on live, I let the people know like what was going on and shit. And I was losing so much people. I was going through so much troubling with my marriage in the streets, and I just kept running to these pills, bro. But I fucked up a lot of relationships, not knowing, you know, how I was when I was getting high and shit like that. And you know, I just look back at the shit, man. I just thank God, man, that I beat that shit. That was one of the hardest battles in my life. One of the hardest battles in my life. I'm glad to say that I beat that shit, yo. Really, man. And I want to say shout out to B McFly, bro. Like, B McFly was by my side every step out of the way, man.
Oh yeah, shout out to bro. Yeah, he's
man.
Definitely a big advocate on that. Like, man, helping people get into rehab and stuff like
and it's
that.
exclusive, bro. I never opened up about this shit because, you know, like I said, I was in denial. But I want to speak on this shit a lot because a lot of people are going through this, bro.
No, definitely.
You know what I mean? And it came into a point of a time, I was doping just to feel regular, just to get up in the morning and shit like that. Man, them pills ain't no good, bro. If I can give out a message to these youngins, man, don't fuck with the pills, man. Don't fuck with drugs. Don't do no drugs, man. You know, I'm a living example. Y'all saw me on the motherfucking lives, dozed off, you know what I mean? Just acting, you know, crazy, man. But I'm happy just to share that with y'all, man. Finally open up about that, man. But, you know, look at me now. I'm clean, I'm detoxed, and I'm just taking one day at a time. So look, I get home, right? You know, my phone going off and shit like that. Leak Moss called me, right? So Leak, I commend Leak, man. I'm gonna say this. I commend Leak. First thing he asked me, man, you good? You need anything? You know what I mean? I know you was down for a minute, and I know, you know, money could be an issue. You know what I mean? I said, bro, I let him know I was good, but that's respectable. You know what I mean? And shit like that. And then we got on. We was talking. We got in a deep conversation, and he was like, "Yo, bro, I want to end the beef with Shady. I want to have a conversation with Shady." I said, "What? You want to have a conversation with Shady?" I said, "Bro, are you serious? Like, you know what I mean? Or are we just talking and shit like that?" He said, "No." Leak told me that Leak in a different space. He was like, "Yo, I don't want to put everything out," but he was like, you know, he's into his, you know, he on his thing and shit like that. You know what I mean? Ramadan coming up, and I was so delighted to get off the phone with him. And I didn't even tell him I was gonna call Shady, but I had called Shady, and I had to talk to Shady for like an hour to make this thing happen. And it was a beautiful thing, man. It was a beautiful thing, and I was like, man, I fought for this shit for 6 months to happen, man. I went through so much, you know what I mean? And I was so happy that, you know, that happened, man. The first phone conversation, because we was both on three-way. We was on three-way for an hour. And just the tears, the joy. And I knew these boys, they still had love for each other. That's why I never gave up on trying to squash that shit, man. And they both, you know, is good guys and shit like that. So I'm glad the city got that. You know what I mean? That was a beautiful thing. Especially me to come home to do that, man. I was enjoying, man. I think I was more happy than them niggas. Right. Because let me tell you this, show. I'm very passionate, bro. My heart is in it, bro. Show, we don't get paid for this shit. You know what I mean? We don't, you know, we take a lot of time, you know, really, you know, interviewing these rappers and, you know, keeping up with these relationships. And it take time out from our family, our jobs. We still got real lives and shit like that. So, you know, I just encourage everybody to support. Y'all really have to support these platforms, y'all. We got something good. Show got Philly Fame TV, man. That's a big platform. He inspired me. Like I told y'all before, Show inspired me. You know what I mean? We really have to support each other, y'all. And, you know, to get back on the Shady and Malik More shit, man. That was amazing, man. That was amazing. Cause you know what? The youngins watching, and you know, they seeing how things been carried out. We gotta be an example, man. I feel like I commend them motherfuckers for being an example and shit like that, man. I don't want to burn you out with it.
That's cool. Like that's one of the things that people wanted to know, because like you say, you fresh. This recently happened, something like a couple days ago. Like yeah. I mean, so it just happened. I mean, so people definitely wanted to know the backstory and how that whole thing came together. Because mind you, they was beefing for a nice little minute, and I mean, a lot of people probably didn't think they would ever see them, you know, piece it out and be cordial or whatever the case may be. Even the first time you tried it didn't even go right. I mean, because our last interview, we was talking about that, how it kind of caused the rift between y'all. Like, y'all actually had issues because of it. And then to see all of it come back around was a good thing for the city and everybody, I mean, talking it out and being cool, I mean.
Man, people was forced to choose sizes. And, you know, everybody knows bloodshed. So it was, like, amazing, man. It's like, man, you can see everybody's growth. You can see my growth. You can see Malik More's growth. You can see Shady growth. Cause me and Shady, we you know, we had problems during that time and shit. So we had to iron our shit out before we got the Moss. But I'm glad we all came into a common agreement and we got on live and we did it, bro. And that was amazing, man. And it's just like, man, people always gonna find something though. People always gonna find negativity in everything. And it was, you know, it was a lot of niggas showing love, you know, and encouraging. But a lot of niggas was hating. A lot of niggas was...
So it was people that had some backlash to it? Like, didn't, I mean, I ain't know that.
I got backlash. I had got a lot of backlash. But the love overpowered the backlash and shit like that, man. And I just couldn't believe, I'm like, where the backlash come from, man? You know, this is something big. Like, you know what I mean? Blocks can be squashing beef and looking at this and, you know, people don't know how big this shit was, man. And, you know, I just commend both of them guys, man. Really, man. But, yo, let me tell you this.
Go ahead. My bad. I'm about to cut you off.
Let me tell y'all this, man. I want to say this, man. I took a lot of losses. Dealing with that situation, man. A lot of losses. Now, I'm not going to speak on all the losses and all that shit, but I took a lot of losses. You know what I mean? Oh man, bro, I took a lot of losses, man. So I was so delighted and happy that came to play and shit. I wish nothing but the best for both of them either. Right. Shit like that. You know
for sure. All right, and another thing we was talking about off camera that you said you definitely wanted to address and clarify for the people. You know what I mean, is the Mier Malik situation.
Yo, you gonna get some exclusive today.
Alright, so
I never spoke on this, man.
Right, so to brief the people, you know, who ain't familiar, y'all had a little back and forth online or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? Just back and forth going at it, whatever the case may be. And then unfortunate situation happened with him. And, you know, and there was speculation that you might have had something to do, you know what I mean, with on the strength that y'all was going at it. And you was basically like, bro, like, I ain't had nothing to do, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't had nothing to do with none of that. Like,
let me tell you this, man. when I first met Mier Malik and shit like that, you know, I didn't know him from a campaign. We did an interview. The interview went so well, show that we wound up doing a part 2. So I saw a different side of Mier. We started doing a morning show and we started building. And I had actually, you know, he was a part of the first 48 and shit like that. You know what I mean? And we went to Miami. We went to Miami, and I brought my graphic designer Danny with me, and it was beautiful out there, John, and shit like that. We was supposed to do a one-on-one interview out there, but things went left for me and Mier Malik and shit like that. We wound up getting into some shit, arguing about the fight, and I had left. I flew back home and shit like that, and I didn't say nothing about it. And when Malik came back to Philly and shit, we got on live and we talked, and we left that shit behind. We didn't even speak on it, right? So things start to get real crazy with me and him, because he was going for my platform too. Like, he was going for it, like basically trying to link with Danny and get the first 48. And I was hurt about it so much because, Danny, I introduced you to this guy. And I told Malik, I said, Malik, I'm not coming out Miami if you don't bring my man. And that's how I move and shit like that. If you don't bring my partner. Danny was my partner at the time. So, whatever the case may be, I linked you with him. I feel like he should have left with me. That's how that. And when we got into the argument and we about to fight, I feel like Danny ain't come, you know, Danny ain't come in the middle of it and try to stop it and none of that shit. Like, so I had felt some type of way and I wound up going home, right? So I didn't speak to Danny for some time and shit like that. I look up, they go on another trip. But in the mix of that, Malik started to troll me. Malik started going at me hard. He started talking about my family. It was just like, and it's the first time I had went through Instagram beef. This before the King Erling shit and everything. So I was at that time, I was still trying to figure out this internet shit, whatever the case may be. And I was like, you know, me and Malik, our shit got so bad and so worse to the point I was like, yo, I can't wait till you come to the Shady. And you know, things, people know how things got. So, make the long story short, him and Danny start to go at it, right? And Danny wound up calling me, asking me, can I fly you home? The stand-up guy I am, even though Danny, you crossed me and went out on another trip with him, I'm gonna bring you home because, you know what I mean, he was scared. You know how Malik is. So, I'm back fucking with Danny, whatever the case may be. Come to find out, so Malik hit me like, yo, he showed me Danny text messages. Danny had gave my address out to Mier Malik, and it hurted me so bad, whatever the case may be, because, like, that's a nigga that I started developing beef with, bro. Like, Danny, I treated Danny like a brother, you know what I mean? So, you to take a trip with a nigga, with a nigga that was my enemy at the time, and get that nigga my address, it hurt me bad. So I had to cut Danny off after I fucked him. You know, I had to fuck him up. You know, I beat the shit out of him. You know what I mean? Because I was hurt. I'm not going to, shoot you, or I'm not going to do none of that shit. But I'm going to put these hands on you and shit. So, I had courting. I had actually courting right after he came from his trip. And I just fucked him up, man, because it hurted, man. Don't get nobody my address, though. You don't know what these guys capable of. And it's like, bro, like, we brothers, like, you know what I mean? So, I had cut Danny off, bro. And I just continued to do the podcast myself, whatever the case may be. I never stopped. Kept doing the interviews. I kept just working, bro. Kept getting the biggest interviews. That gave me motivation just to go harder. So me and Mier Malik was still going at it during the time, but and Mier Malik wound up coming back to Philly. 2 days later, he gets smoked, whatever the case may be. The video went viral, whatever the case may be. From the rip, the whole city, all the big bloggers, Philly Scoop all the gossiping pages. Oh, Johnnie Mac did this to Mier Malik and shit like that, man. And no matter what I said, everybody believed I did it. And it fucked me up. It fucked me up because I was still mad at Malik at the time. But I never want a nigga to get, you know, injured or you know, get shot up how he got shot up. You know what I mean? He's in a wheelchair right now. I think he's paralyzed and shit like that. I never wish that on him because I know if we would have talked, we would have ironed our shit out too. But I had to wear that shit for about 3 or 4 months. You know what I mean? People thought that was me that did Dr. Malik and shit like that, man. And it fucked my brand up. You know what I mean? My name. Now I gotta walk around and, you know, be cautious because I don't know who. You know, I had his family members, his friends. They was all putting that shit on me, man. I had to wear that shit. And I had nothing to do with that shit, bro. You know what I mean? I was a help to Malik, bro. I saw this different side of Mier Malik that the Philly ain't see. You know what I mean? And and what I did was I displayed that, and I wanted him to be the biggest artist. And he was intelligent. He was intelligent, man. And that's all I was a help to him. So, you know, it hurt when we had to go through what we went through and shit like that. But it's like everybody link when they just be after my brand and shit. And it's like, you know, I've been through a lot, bro. I took a lot of L's with this shit show. I took a lot of L's, man. And that was the first L I took. But yeah, he definitely got hit up. Niggas thought I did that shit, man. Still to this day. But he woke up, he finally got, you know, he getting better. And he corrected it. You know who? Mier Malik know who shot him. And, you know what I mean? Hopefully when he get better, he'll let niggas know. But I never opened up. I never talked about that shit at all. But Johnnie Mac ain't had nothing to do with Mier Malik getting shot.
Alright, so shout out to him, Lord willing, he get better, know what I mean, and come up out that situation, know what I mean. So now we gonna switch gears and get on some positive stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
48, know what I mean.
Because that's what we about.
Yeah,
you know what
I mean, you just had to address some things, get that off your chest, let people know about certain things. Now we gonna, you know, talk about some of the good stuff they can look forward to. Well, let's talk about a couple people that you had on the platform prior to you going to the rehab and all of that. I mean, you was doing a nice amount of good things that I was watching. I mean, I was saluting you on from a distance. So one of the joints I seen you got was with the boy Jojo Capone from Chicago, you know, a Chicago legend or whatever. So for the fact that he tapped in with you, that was love and respect because you're up and coming, you know, blogger from the city, you know what I mean? For the fact, and he been on some big platforms. So for him to be on your joint too, that was a good look, you know what I mean? And then you also connected with like 2 different other media personalities that got, you know, a nice little flow. Queen's Flip, I seen you had a little drink with him. And also you seen you did a joint with the boy Gully TV or whatever. I mean, they 2 other little media personalities from outside the city. Now I mean, doing their thing or whatever. So speak a little bit on that, like connecting with some of the different people you've been connecting with and doing some of the interviews you've been doing, and give them a taste of what they can look forward to. Now I mean, now that you home and you back rolling, you sober and all that.
Man, let me tell you this, bro. I did not know the first 48 was going to be as big as it is, man. I always knew. I was a fan of Gully TV. I was a fan of Queen's Flip. Like, speaking on that, you know, when I go to YouTube, I go to their channels and look at their content. But I never think I would be, you know, in competition with them guys or ever, you know, on a live with those guys and shit like that. So it was real big for me, man. It was in a negative way at the time and shit because I was really standing by Shady and making sure that Queen's Flip had got Shady's side and shit like that. Cause, you know, I was so big on that, man, because, you know, oh my God.
So you talking about when Leak Moss went on there and did his interview?
Leak Moss had went on Queen's Flip and this killed me right here. This killed me. Leak Moss went on Queen's Flip and he had spoke on